how funding can equal student success. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Paul Baumbach. He is a Delaware State Representative. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We're talking about the Delaware State test, and parents are very familiar with this test as their children progress through school, but there are certain grades where this test is actually looked at as a measure of student success. You recently decided to take the 10th grade version of this test. Why so?
It's been a lot of years since I've been in the classroom taking tests, so I thought it'd be a good experience. We subject the students throughout the state to this test every year, so I thought it was important for me as a legislator to know more about it firsthand. And it was kind of fun.
You actually did pretty well.
I received the rating is between 1 and 4. 4 exceeds expectation. I received a 4 in both the math and the reading.
Well, it's been a long time since high school math, so congratulations on that. I understand that as well. But I want to talk a little bit about the funding mechanism for schools. Funding is actually done as a unit count. Explain to us what that means.
The funding looks at the number of students in each school and then divides by how many units you have, and it says you have a teacher for so many units, and that unit count depends on the grades, and we've got a mandated lower level for grades 1 through 3, but then above, from 4 and above, you can have fewer teachers for the same number of students, and that's very intentional because we know that the early education strides are really important for long-term success. So
does this funding mechanism, though, take into consideration when you have a larger number of students with special needs, or take into consideration special areas, maybe librarians, music teachers, or speech therapists?
That's one of the crux of the problems, is that arts and phys ed and librarians, those are things that are not in the unit count. So the school districts really have to spread their resources thinly that way. And there's students who have a lot of students throughout the state who have accommodations to help them learn most effectively. They need a little bit more time, they need a little bit more attention, and those are things that again spread our resources very thinly. The unit count sounds good, but it's only the start, and unfortunately our funding largely stops at that point.
Are you looking at potential alternative funding methods?
Well, I think that there's funding's a big issue in Delaware, and it has to do with where the revenues are. So that's a real challenge. But I think even working within our existing revenues, we can do a little bit smarter approach there. We can give a little more flexibility to the districts. Right now in Christina's school district, the 3rd grade classes have around 22 students per class, and there's schools in Christina with 4th graders with 32. And that jump is just too strong, but it's part of the mandate we have. Well, we can do waivers where they can say, what if we have 24 students in 3rd grade and then get you down to 28, 29 in 4th grade? That, I think, is a better progression, a better glide path, but that requires flexibility. So I think we need to work, both the legislature with the State Board of Education and the school districts, to try to have a more sensible way forward.
We've also been talking about the DCAS, the Delaware State Test. Will Common Core standards as they are implemented actually impact the testing that our kids receive?
Absolutely. The DCAS is Delaware's version of state testing, which is mandated by the federal government, and that has to be adjusted as the curricula changes. So as the state adopts Common Core standards as its core curriculum, then the state test has to also adapt to that. The State Department of Education has been working hard on preparing both the test and the teachers for what those changes mean to the DCAS test that their students will be taking.
And just a few seconds left, but is that teacher training and the materials associated with that, is that underway at this point?
It's well underway, actually. There's a guide for the teachers in every grade level and every subject already online on the Department of Education website.
Thanks so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
We've been talking with Delaware State Representative Paul Baumbach. I'm Jill Horner for Comcast Newsmakers.